The three of us are here to talk about the Commander cards most worth buying for March 2023.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, joined by Amber, getting some scratches, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. If you want Amber to keep getting scratches, I would recommend the Patreon. Every tier, Amber gets a scratch for every new patron.
It's true. We got 2 new patrons today, and guess what? We are still petting Amber as an appreciation toward Amber and you.
Yes, Amber certainly would appreciate it. We do have a special announcement, Cherries.
Yes, something super awesome. There's currently a Kickstarter going on right now, and it's actually entering very soon, so you have to hurry and get this. Magic artist Nils Hamm has special playmats and special tokens available right now. Seriously, you can only get these tokens through this Kickstarter, and they're amazing. They're all art from Nils Hamm himself, all awesome handcrafted art by Nils Hamm.
Doing some temporal math, there should only be about 3 days left, so you can't put this off and say, oh, that's really cool. I'll get it in 5 days. No, you won't. It'll be done. You got to get this now. They're freaking cool. Playmats, some of my favorites that I saw Delver of Secrets, classic. There also is a double-sided Delver mat with Aberrant Researcher on the back, Sarah's Emissary, and then obviously multi-format all-star Gilderbairn.
Yes. Oh, there's so many awesome ones. And you didn't even mention my favorite one personally.
I figured it would have been Gilderbairn.
No, I mean, I love Gilderbairn. I do. But Baleful of Strix, the art is absolutely stellar.
That's true.
On Baleful of Strix. So getting that Baleful of Strix playmat would be so sweet. It's got the extended art. It goes out past where you would normally see on the Magic card. See what more was painted by Nils Hamm. It's such a beautiful piece. Every one of these is an awesome, beautiful piece to get from Nils Hamm. And honestly, all these mats, it's just the only chance to get these play mats. And once they're there, they're gone, and they will have a number on it telling you what number in the printing you got.
Yeah, and then there's like 78,000 different types of tokens you can go for. There's a 1/1 cat that I thought was really cute. Fairy Rogue, super amazing looking. And then like the most hardcore Monarch token you've ever seen in your life.
And every single one of these is obviously in the unique and awesome style of Nils Hamm, who is just a great artist.
So you really need to start thinking if you can get this stuff, because it's limited time and it's freaking cool.
And as much as I think BZ has talked me into getting a Gilderbairn mat because it's so cool, I might just go order one right now. In fact, I'm going to. There's no might. I'm getting the Gilderbairn mat.
By the time you've even seen this, Joe has ordered a Gilderbairn.
That's true. It will have happened.
In addition to that Kickstarter shout out, we also have a video. This is the cards most worth buying this month. We always talk about cards that are the best bang for your buck, not speculation. We're not spiking any prices or anything. This is just, these cards are 100% worth their value, and we recommend buying them at this price for your decks, not for your trade binders.
Yes. So let's start with the first ones, and these were reprinted in New Capenna Commander decks, and that's why they are so cheap right now. Enemy Filter Lands, $2.20 to $3.30. So they're like $2 or $3 about each. This is really, really good for these. These are untapped dual lands. The only time they're going to be rough on you is early in the game if it's your first land. Because if it's your second land, it's not going to be an issue at all.
Right, and you're not keeping one-landers.
Exactly. So this is going to be a land that just works for you. It's an untapped dual land. Perfect. These cards are so good, especially in your 2-color decks.
I think that's where they mainly belong. In 4 colors and 3 colors, starts to get a little dicey. You can maybe play one of them. I don't think I would play like 3 though.
It depends. It depends on what your budget is. Because on a 3-color budget, I would start playing these for sure. Because now they're actually budgety cards, only $2 or $3. So if you're like on a $100 budget, you can really afford to play these over some of the other lands that are like $10, $15, $20.
I just mean from like the standpoint of now you could draw hands with like 2 or 3 of them, and like that's a little dicey. So like never play like 1,000 of these in 5-color, obviously, and 2 or 1 I think is a good number.
Yeah, two or 1, and you could play these in 3 on a budget. I think is a great way to look at it. Awesome cards. Let's move on to the next one, which is actually just a suite of tutors, all reprinted in Dominaria Remastered. So let's start with the first one, Vampiric Tutor. Obviously, this card was worth it when I was getting up to $50, $60. It's obviously worth it at $34. One of the best cards in the whole format, maybe the best black card.
It's top 5 cards in the format. I think it's the best black card.
It's fighting with Demonic Tutor
and like Necropotence maybe.
Yeah, like $34 for that. Enlightened Tutor also getting that reprint, $17 for that. Worldly Tutor, $10. Mystical Tutor, $8. And in 2, another tutor that puts something straight into your graveyard, $8 or no $7, not even $8.
Wow.
$7.
It just dropped to 7 just now.
It just dropped right now. I have my
Live feed.
Live feed and
It's
just
like the
dropped.
stock market. You can see all the numbers go up. Can you tell we know stocks? I think Mystical Tutor at $8 is like super low to me because that's always in my head like the next spikiest or most powerful one after Vampiric Tutor, and it's just like it's one of the cheapest ones.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely on that. Mystical Tutor probably is, like, for these top tutors, it's the best. I mean, Worldly Tutor is very good, Enlightened Tutor is very good, but instant sorceries are like, when you're talking high power.
Tons of ways to break it. Even like in mid power, it's like I'll get my Miracle Time Walk,
Yeah, it's like, you know how much play, like, it's funny because like things like Mystical Tutor see so much play in like Vintage because it just goes and gets you the
Ancestral
recall. Yeah, it's so funny.
I'm thinking what else is funny? Thought Vessel's hilarious because I got no max hand size. I'm drawing cards until the cows come home, and now I got 20 cards in hand. Thanks to Thought Vessel, which is only $3, I get to keep 13 extra cards. Not every deck wants this. Certain decks are going to love it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ways to, not have to discard your hand. Obviously, Reliquary Tower, very good. This is probably the next best one, and it fits into a slot you're already going to put into your deck. Whereas you might not want to play a colorless land with Reliquary Tower, you always want 2-mana rocks in your deck. That's just a key spot to be. Now, this obviously is a colorless rock, so it does have, there's a lot of symmetry between this and Reliquary Tower. But this is still just an amazing, amazing card. If you're planning on going over on hand size, your commander draws card. Maybe you're playing like the new Atraxa. So when you play that Atraxa, you draw like 5 cards. Put this in your deck so you don't have to discard.
And then put signets so you can filter the colorless mana into the 4 pips you need. All right, Urza, Lord High Artificer, is only $22 right now. It is one of the most wheel-spinny, board state making, Mind's Desire casting cards of all time. It's really, really good, and it's going to only go up, I would imagine. And when you have Urza in play, it's a whole different ballgame.
I think there's just one question here. Are you playing an artifact-centric deck? If the answer to that question is yes, you should get this card right now because it's absolutely amazing. I guess there's one other question. Is blue in that deck?
Yeah.
Because if you're playing an artifact deck that isn't blue, then yeah, don't get Urza.
So many people just took it out of their cart for their Duretti deck.
They're like, oh crap, I was going to get this for Duretti. Yeah. Yes, but if you're playing blue, you're playing artifact-centric, Urza goes in every single one of those decks. This card is not just a high-power card. What I really love about Urza is that it makes high-power plays. It does all that kind of stuff, but when you put it in your lower-power deck, it doesn't break the deck. It just makes the deck a lot better. And that's what's so cool about a card like Urza. Sure, it can be busted. It's one of the, when you put it as the commander, this card can be unfun and silly. But then you put it in I have it in my artifact creature tribal deck.
Yeah.
And the card is just fair, fun, and strong because it's not built to be broken.
Yep. A card that is built to be broken, because I don't see any other way around it, is Time Stretch. It takes 2 extra turns. We just talked about how long it takes to resolve in one of our previous videos. This thing is a back-breaking, game-ending, and it's $4?
It's $4. This is one of the, if you're casting big giant spells, cheating big giant spells, reducing costs, I'm thinking Mizzix, I'm thinking Joda, I'm thinking all this kind of stuff. This is one of your go-tos. This card is obscenely strong. It is worth the 10 mana to just straight up hard cast this card. You get your mana's worth. So when you cheat this at all, you feel like, well, you're cheating.
Yeah, the game is just over. I don't really see... I've never seen 2 extra turns not end in a game over when we're in the late game and we're all ramping up to these resources. Even decks like Yuriko is just like, cool, 10U. Maybe I'll cast it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. It's a card that if you can cheat it, get it for your deck right now. $4. Another, just like Urza, just like the tutors that we went over, Dominaria Remastered reprints. God, can we get more sets like that? Wizards.
Super good.
Please. Reprints like that, please. And it wasn't a perfect set, but the price point was really good and had awesome reprints all over the place.
There's cards where I look and I'm like, this is a budget bomb? And Joe's like, Dominaria Remastered. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see in the video on Wednesday, our budget bomb video, there's some cool Dominaria Remastered cards that just absolutely drove the prices down. Do
you know what's not Dominaria Remastered? Aura of Silence, probably one of the best white enchantments in the format. That's pretty narrow, but I still think this card's awesome. It's $4 and it's 1 white for an enchantment. Artifacts and enchantments, your opponent's cast just cost 2 more. No getting around that. And then you can sack it to destroy an artifact or enchantment. So there's no scenario where you don't get max value out of this card.
Yeah, exactly. It's good when the threat that you're looking to deal with is already on the battlefield. It's good in the opposite situation where the threats are going to be casting lots of artifacts and enchantments. This card is annoying. I kind of consider it a stacks piece. I don't play it because it's so annoying and stacks to certain decks. It's so good that when somebody sits down with their artifact or enchantment deck, they don't get to play.
It shuts you down.
It literally just shuts you down. You're casting like one spell a turn maximum. You can't cast your big spells. It's so good. It's so good. I don't play it. That's like, it's that good.
I think it's on par with. So if your playgroup allows stuff like Hushbringer and Elishnorn, and you're cool with that, I think this is like on par with that. It's not Winterwarp.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a great point. I think Hushbringer, Elishnorn levels where it's like it shuts down specific aspects and certain decks. But if that's okay, then you should just go. You should play.
Right,
this.
it doesn't shut down the game.
This card is amazing. I mean, yeah, exactly. It shuts down aspects and certain decks.
But it's really, really good. And I think if you don't care about, if you're playing just like want to tune your deck, high power casual. Oh man, this card is so worth it.
Yeah. Next, we have an MDFC. If we can hype up MDFCs until the end of time. And
I will.
This one is Malika Rebirth. It's $4. Now, there's a lot of them that are cheaper, but I have just come around to the point that this is one of the best ones. It's so good for the uncommon ones that enter tap.
Top 5?
Top 5 easy, maybe even like top 2 or 3. Like it's competing with like the Balagata recoveries and all the really, really good ones at like that top spot because this card is 1 mana to cast. It is so easy to hold up, to get an effect, to protect you. So it's like, all right, I only have to leave up 1 mana. I get to take the rest of my turn, use all my other mana, do whatever I want. And now I have this little protection for that board wipe that I know is coming.
I think there's cards that people like to play in the main deck to feel like safer or whatever, like Kaya's Ghost Form. I think that card is just awful unless you have some kind of loop with it or combo or Luris or something. But this is the way to get that card into your deck and have it not suck ever, because if you ever don't need it, you just play a land. The fact that this is a land also takes this like borderline unplayable spell to like top tier. I'm so excited to play it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so cool to see how MDFCs can take the spells that I'm never going to put Feign Death. I'm never going to put Feign Death in my deck. I think the card is just way too niche and too narrow to play. I will put the exact same card, except for it's a land on the backside. Give me it all day.
It's a land 90% of the time. We talked about this card also in our cards that extend the game, but this one is much more acceptable. What is it?
Oh, it's Farewell. Currently $9. And like I keep saying, I just keep pushing this to the top of my board wipe list over and over and over again. It's so silly. Like, silly good. The fact that this exiles is absurd. The fact that it hits any permanent type except for planeswalkers is absurd. And the fact that it exiles graveyards. What is going on with this card? It really does extend the game because it removes basically all resources that were on the battlefield except for lands. It's like over the top ridiculous.
You can't even access them. They're gone.
But it's like there's like off the white board wipes that exist, it's like this is competing with the top dogs. You're Vanquish the Hordes. There's like Tragic Arrogance. Like it's just competing with those to be the actual factual best. And that's saying something because it's one of the most expensive at 6 mana.
Yeah, I think, man, this card, every time I see a cast, I go, this is even more backbreaking than I thought. Even if I'm not the one affected, like I'm just watching game, I go, damn.
Yeah, because we're going to say this in the future video, but if you're not playing Graveyard Recursion, every deck should be playing a little bit of that. That's coming up in the future. Get ready for that.
Buckle up.
That's why Farewell is so backbreaking.
All right, let's move to a tribal card for your creature type theme decks that is just an absolute staple. Kindred Discovery, $5, where it was previously like 30 or 35. This is whenever a creature of the chosen type enters, you draw a card. Same is true for when they attack. So if you play this early, okay, now the creatures you play are going to draw you cards. If you play it late, you've got creatures in play which can attack and draw you cards.
Yeah, this card is so good. This cycle was so medium, the other ones are fine, like they're all over the place with like how good they are, but this far and away the best one, and an amazing, amazing reprint we just got in Baldur's Gate, which brought this card way down. This was $30, $40.
It's got the weird bird people on it.
It does. They have the weird bird people on it. This card's great. I mean, like you said, it doesn't matter which stage of the game you're on. Are your creatures already out? Perfect. Are your creatures in your hand? Perfect. It does not matter. And it has another amazing wording. It's not when you cast a creature. It's when a creature of the type enters. So if you make 3 tokens of the creature type, okay, draw for each one.
Yeah, and it doesn't go away. This isn't like Distant Melody where you're like, cool, I get to draw 6 cards. What a good effect. This is like, no, just for the rest of the game, you're going to draw like 7 cards a turn, and they have to blow this up, or I don't see a way they can beat you.
Yeah, and the only weakness to this card that I've ever seen is that there is a big interaction spot for this. It is 5 mana. You do pretty much have to tap like at least half your mana, if not more, to get this thing out. And then there's always an interaction point when you cast a spell or when you move to your attack phase. So there is a little bit of risk with this card. That said, if you play your cards right and just take it slow, and
Opponents are tapped out.
Opponents are tapped out, or they have very little mana up, and you know the time to cast this, it'll always get you that value.
Second weak point of this card that might come up, but it's really not that important. But as long as you know about it, you'll be safe. It's not a May, so don't make 100 humans. Don't go infinite with Locust God with this card out because you'll lose.
Yes, do not put this in your Locust God deck and then name Insect. You will die.
You'll have a bad time.
You will just die because you can't stop it. The loop goes, you die. You die to your own effects.
Unless you have the like Ulamog loop where you can keep shuffling it in and then you have some way to deal like 1 damage.
If you have a way to discard cards, sure, I guess that's possible.
Why are we making a deck right now?
Be careful. Be careful doing that. All right, next. A land I'm coming up higher and higher on. Actually, I need to get into more of my decks. I think I only have it in one currently. Scavenger Grounds. It's currently $3. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice a desert. It is a desert itself. Exile all graveyards. Okay, this is actually really, really strong. We've come to the point where I just keep saying, graveyard hate is important. It's strong. It's good. Get it in every single one of your decks. You can get this in a land slot. So your decks that can search this up are going to get powered up.
Yeah.
It's just there's lots of decks that are playing your crop rotations, your Sylvan Scryings, your expedition maps. If these are in your deck, add this to your toolbox of lands.
It's basically Farewell. It's one of the lines of Farewell. You can, if you're 1 or 2 colors, I think you can add the untapped deserts that ping you for life to get a little bit more utility out of it. Just swap out a basic land. It'll basically be just strictly better. This card does exile itself if you sack it, because it'll be in your graveyard, then it resolves, exiles itself. So you can't like Life from the Lomit back, most likely. But if you have more deserts, you can get a second shot at it. This thing is just annoying. You can hold it up. It's definitely a late game card, but it's kind of like a, no sir, you do not get to make some kind of crazy reanimator play without my permission.
Yeah, but even in the earlier game, if someone's setting up some sort of reanimation play, you can just go for it. Like, take a turn off. Like, say, like, turn 4, somebody takes time and they're, like, Faithless Looting, and you see them discard Villas. It's like, all right, I'm going to take my turn off. I'm making sure that Villas doesn't come back.
Sucks to get wastelanded. Like, sucks for you to lose the land, but sucks more to get reanimated Villas.
Yeah, you just lose, right?
You're dead.
Would you rather skip your next turn or lose the game?
That first one.
Yes, that's what I thought. All right, let's go on to Phyrexian Altar. We've suggested this to buy at $39. So guess what? It's definitely worth buying at $22. Phyrexian Altar is one of, if not the best sack outlet in the entire format.
It generates colored mana, which is not something you're getting on a free sack outlet really anywhere else. It has infinite combos. Gravecrawler is one of the most obvious ones. It also goes off with there's Nether Trader, there's Pitiless Plunderer, just all that kind of black creature nonsense.
Yeah, it also goes off with the combo you mentioned earlier, which is Luris and
Kaya's
Guile. Yeah, it also goes off with that combo.
Kaya's Ghost Form, yeah.
Kaya's Ghost Form and Luris also goes infinite with Phyrexian Altar.
Yeah, so maybe that's the reason to play it in your deck. Otherwise, this is just fantastic. Any go wide, big mana, disposable creatures. This card was $100, and I was like, yeah, it's $100 good. Like, it's $100 powerful. It might feel a little bit bad to buy at $100, but guess what? You're buying it at $22 right now.
$22. Phyrexian Altar is so good. If you're playing the high power combo-y type deck, this is amazing. This is what you want for your deck. I wouldn't play it in your combat metas or your like attack metas because that's not what you're going for. But unless you're exactly aristocrats. But in any combo meta, this card is amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to win the game. You can just go, oh, I happen to have like Karmic Guide Reveler. I guess I have infinite mana.
Yeah, I guess I'm going infinite. I guess I'm winning the game because that's what this card does. It just wins out of nowhere because it's so good.
Such a good payoff. Let's go to a tutor. This is a tutor right to the battlefield. Green Sun Zenith at $8. X into green. You go get a creature that costs X, has to be green, and it just goes right into play. And then Green Sun shuffles in your deck, so you could theoretically get to cast it again that game. But this is just the tooly boxiest card I've ever seen.
Yes, I think what really takes Green Sun Zenith from like a good tutor that only gets green creatures to amazing is the fact that for some reason this card has the ability to get the card Dryad Arbor,
which is just a ramp spell if you have it on turn 1, 2, or 3.
It's a mana dork.
Yeah.
It literally, this is a 1 mana dork when you have it on your early turns. That being turned into that, and the toolbox ability of this card just makes it an absolutely absurdly strong card. Like usually, like when I look at this card, if it didn't get that, it'd be like, it only gets green creatures. It's still good, but it's not great. But then it's like, oh wait, it's a mana dork. It's also just land war elves whenever I need it to be. Get in my deck.
Right. on top of that, it's Sakura Tribuilder when you need it. It's Wood Elves when you need it. It's Druid of Purification to bail you out. And it's Craterhoof when you need to win the game. Green Sun's maybe going to be going up because that's a nice price point.
It's such a good card, especially if you're playing a 1 or 2 color deck. Like 1 or 2 color decks for green, that's when it's absolutely shining. When you're getting at least 50% of your creatures, oh yeah.
Elf Ball just eats this card for breakfast. They love it.
Why would they eat it?
Because it's delicious and it's healthy for them.
You think that they would play it in the deck instead of eating it.
It's good for you. So you eat it.
That's not. No, you don't eat the
They
cards.
grow big and strong.
You don't eat the cards you put in your deck.
Elves don't know that.
What?
They just eat them.
That's why elf decks never win, I guess.
They just eat their own cards.
It's like, oh yeah, Crater of Behemoth? No, I ate it.
Sorry, I already played that card.
All right, next we got Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. This card is $5, and this card is obscenely strong. Let's just start at its combo side. Got something that untaps it whenever you make a new one. All right, you've got to win. This has a ton of those combos. Deceiver Exarch, Pestermite,
Restoration Angel, Feldar Guardian,
Village Bellringer, Feldar Guardian. Every single one of these cards, infinite creatures, infinite attacks, you win the game. Okay, that's great. But you don't need the combo with this card. This is an absolute value engine of a card. If you have any ETB on the battlefield, it doesn't really matter what it is. Destroy something, draw a card, drawing multiple cards. It doesn't matter. Copy that creature, put an extra one on the battlefield, get in an attack with it, and get whatever the ETB was that you wanted.
You don't need to. This does not need to be a spiky combo card. You can just play it for like the fun side, but it's also just really good. Like, turns out when you can just copy Sad Robots and like Inferno Titans, you still win the game.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're copying. If you're getting almost any ETBs, you're getting value out of this card. Untap with it 1 or 2 turns. It's going to be hard not to just take a huge demanding lead, even if you only like. Oh, all I have is a Sad Robot. Okay, Sad Robot, get a land. Sad Robot, get a land. Sack it. Get a creature or draw a card too.
Like, I'll respect you when you say. I'll trust your word when you say, oh, I don't have the combo in here. I'm just playing it as a value piece. It's still going to kill it almost at the same rate.
Yeah, it's like slightly less. Like, I'm going to kill it 100% of the time when it's a combo piece, and I'll kill it 95% of the time.
Still has to go. Just like Approach of the Second Sun. Let's just go ahead and put a big old clock on the game. It's $3 for an alternate win con that actually works. You got to pay 7, and you kind of got to expose yourself. You gain 7, goes 7 from the top, so your 7th card down is this. And then if you draw 7 cards on the cheap, you can just cast it next turn or the turn after, and players just have to kill you or you win.
Yeah, Approach the Second Sun is in combat metas where there's not combos. This card is absurd. Mm-hmm. The 7 life does matter, and on top of that, when you cast it when you're in the 30s, even when all the players can attack you on the board, often it's not enough to kill you, which means you just get to get an untap step or 2, and you just run away with the game. And all you have to do is get 1 extra turn after this, because what you can do is usually follow it up with a board wipe.
Yeah, once you untap, if you don't die, you still maybe you're at 20 or something. Wipe the board and then go. All right, I've got some like anticipates or dig through times or whatever. It doesn't have to be the exact perfect like dig through time. It's just like draw 2 cards, 2 turns closer, plus my planeswalker, draw a card, turn closer.
Exactly. Yeah, Approach the Second Sun is just amazing alternative win con. What I really like about Approach the Second Sun, honestly, is it gives like the blue-white control deck that like some players, players love porting over decks from other formats, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're a modern player, you play that blue-white control, it's like, I would love it to be Approach the Second Sun.
Right. You can't grind us out with Teferi +1 and like Castle Ardenvale tokens. You have to like actually close the game, and it's really hard for control.
Which is awesome that we get Approach the Second Sun for that deck. It really just takes the decks that would sometimes can draw a lot of cards to get ahead with but not on the board.
Right. It's like, so what? It's like, well, now I'm going to win the game and protect it with 3 counterspells.
Yeah. I actually think Approach the Second Sun is a healthy and good card for the format because I think, 1, it's 14 mana to win the game. It's already...
That seems about par.
It's slow, and you have to expose yourself. So, literally, I never see this card as problematic. Is it annoying? Oh, yeah. Half the time, this is my response when you cast Approach the Second Sun. Approach the Second Sun? Oh, come on. Come on. But good, fair, fun, worth $3.
Yeah, you can't Doomblade my spell. Archon of Emeria is a sort of hate bear. I think that's maybe an accurate word for it. It's $3. Nobody can play more than 1 spell per turn, and then opponents' lands enter the battlefield tapped if they're non-basic. This thing turns out has a ton of utility. It's like an all-star in CDH, and we can scale it back. It's still great in regular Commander. I think it's on par with Aura of Silence, Elishnor, and all that stuff. And since we're the one casting it, we get all our double spelling out of the way and play this last, and then go, I don't even care.
Yeah, Arcana is just actually really, really good. It's a card that reads like...
Well, there's no ETBs on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But you play this card out. Both stack sides are just super strong. All right, your lands, non-basics, entering tap. That's a strong ability. Fetch lands really hate that.
Super explosive things like Nykthos and Cabal Coffers. Like, whew, we get a turn of noticing this threat.
And then after you get the turn, and the Nykthos or Cabal Coffers, unless they have an X spell, you're still shutting down the Nykthos Cabal Coffers because the other side of this says they can only cast one spell. Who cares if they make 100 mana if they can only cast one spell, as long as it's not an X spell. If it's an X spell, you're dead.
Great way to control the game and slow players down without ruining the game or restarting the game. I think it's in that sweet spot of those other cards we mentioned.
Yeah, and why don't you check out an episode of Shuffle Scuffle, whatever one BZ chooses to put here.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that is the sweet spot. Check it.
Playing Mander?
He's out, Tribe Scouts.